Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so we've all seen AI agents generating text, right? Or, writing a bunch of code. But what actually happens when we ask an AI to conduct complex, real-world scientific research? It's a massive leap from simply stringing words together to navigating the incredibly rigorous, high-stakes world of empirical science. Today, we are exploring a truly fascinating intersection of artificial intelligence, neuroscience, and the future of scientific discovery by looking at a breakthrough system called Brain Researcher. And that brings us to our central and honestly fascinating question for today. Can an AI truly do science? Or is it just really good at pressing buttons? You see, executing a sequence of code commands successfully, that absolutely does not guarantee a scientifically valid analysis. Right now, there is this massive conflict between an AI's ability to just run a script and its ability to make defensible methodological judgments. Think about it. When you're processing heterogeneous brain scans and running incredibly complex statistical models, a successful software output is completely meaningless if the scientific choices behind it are fundamentally flawed. Okay, let's dive into this with Part 1, the AI Scientist's Dilemma. So what exactly is holding AI back from becoming a truly independent scientist? Well, science isn't just a basic sequence of procedures. Establishing a scientific claim means you have to weigh alternatives and limit your conclusions strictly to what the evidence actually supports. To really grasp the scale of this dilemma, we need to look at human-executed science, specifically in neuroimaging. Picture this. A famous study handed the exact same brain imaging dataset to 70 different research teams. The result? No two teams used the exact same workflow. And because of that, their final scientific conclusions differed substantially. When you are analyzing something like an fMRI scan, tiny, totally defensible choices about pre-processing or confound adjustment or model specification, they can completely alter a study's outcome. If human experts are this sensitive to analytical flexibility, just imagine the absolute chaos an unconstrained AI agent could cause. Which leads us directly to Part 2, Introducing Brain Researcher. This chaos is exactly why a team of leading researchers developed the Brain Researcher system. Now, I want you to think of it not as a robot replacement for a human scientist, but rather as, well, it's like putting bowling bumper guards on a supercomputer. Its entire purpose is to force the AI to show its work, state its assumptions, and logically prove its claims before any conclusion is accepted. Let's zoom in on the center of this workflow here. You'll see the validator and executor steps. When the AI proposes a series of analysis tools, say it wants to run fMRI prep for pre-processing or Nylorn for modeling, it doesn't just get to run them blindly. No way. The system checks every single proposed call against strict schema constraints before execution. The validator ensures that the inputs, the parameters, and the evidence anchors are completely valid. It's basically a verifiable action space that ties the AI's hands just enough to keep it methodologically sound. And the impact of these bumper guards, it's nothing short of incredible. When this was tested across 7 different frontier AI models on 60 tool calling tasks, the results were literally night and day. Look at this chart. Without the Brain Researcher harness, AI models only selected the correct analysis route and tool 23.3% of the time. But with Brain Researcher enforcing the rules, that accuracy skyrocketed to 93.6%. This massive statistical leap shows you exactly how this digital harness prevents the AI from choosing inappropriate tools, hallucinating non-existent software, or just stopping its analysis prematurely. Let's move on to Part 3, the knowledge graph. So you might be wondering, how does a system actually know what tools to use and what evidence to cite in the first place? Well, it all comes down to a semantic engine. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how beautifully this animation illustrates the Brain Researcher knowledge graph. As it maps out, you can see how it links broad cognitive concepts like memory or attention straight down to specific neuroimaging tasks like the NBAC or Stroop test, and then even further down to exact brain regions and statistical maps. It's a giant web containing over 745,000 nodes and 2.4 million edges. But here is the crucial part. Every single fact in this graph carries explicit provenance. This means when the AI retrieves a claim, it can be traced back to the exact publication, the exact study, and the exact verbatim passage that supports it. By forcing the AI to rely on this heavily structured knowledge graph, the system actually increased the verifiable grounding of the AI's evidence by 4.8 times. Let's put that into perspective. Instead of the AI just hallucinating facts or confidently citing papers that look totally real but actually aren't, the harness actively forces the agent to cite checkable, verifiable evidence. It quite literally binds the AI to reality. Now, part 4, the multiverse of analysis. So the crucial point is that a single analysis path is rarely enough to establish a robust scientific truth, especially in a field as complex as neuroimaging. Instead of just running one workflow and declaring victory, brain researcher makes alternative workflows and analytical choices fully navigable through what they call a multiverse analysis. Let's look at the stability map. Those intricate red and blue squares you see zooming in here, they aren't just pretty patterns. They represent a staggering 480 specification multiverse used to evaluate functional network connectivity in schizophrenia alongside separate multiverses for cocaine use disorder data. Each and every square is a totally different scientific outcome based on tiny, tiny shifts in how the data was analyzed, like maybe swapping out a confound correction method or changing a connectivity metric. The multiverse lays bare exactly how sensitive a finding is to a researcher's defensible, yet completely arbitrary choices. And this level of rigor? It exposed something truly fascinating during a collaborator-led study on schizophrenia. The AI audited a specific hypothesis known as NMH2, which predicted larger differences in between-domain brain connections. When the AI actually ran the multiverse on this, it found that the hypothesis had 100% support under Pearson and Spearman correlation models. But, and this is a big but, it had absolutely 0% support under partial correlation and mutual information models. The finding wasn't robust at all. It was entirely dependent on the specific math used to estimate it. This proves exactly why this digital harness is so critical. It catches fragile claims before they get published as universal facts. Let's move to and see how this builds in part 5, AI in action. Because, it's one thing to run a static audit. It's another entirely for an AI to conduct self-evolving, open-ended exploration, where one result dictates the very next experiment. This chart tells the story of an incredible journey. Using data from the Human Connectome project, brain researcher was tasked with finding the best pipeline to predict cognitive traits from brain connectivity. And it didn't just guess once. As you can follow along the evaluation order here, the AI systematically proposed and tested 116 different candidate workflows. It actually learns from its earlier failures, adapted its proposals, and eventually found a pipeline, specifically using whole band coherence and ridge regression, that consistently beat a human-matched reference procedure across multiple rigorous cross-validation splits. But wait, how do you stop a self-evolving AI from just endlessly hacking the data until it finds a random, meaningless correlation? You set up strict guardrails. First, the AI must propose candidate workflows. Next, it records the intermediate evidence. But here is the genius part. Before the final test is actually run, the successor analysis is completely frozen. So the evidence from one stage redirects the trajectory, but freezing the rules ensures the AI cannot move the goalpost after it sees the final results. The research evolves, absolutely, but the evidentiary standard does not. Which brings us to our final section, Part 6, the future of AI science. Let's zoom out for a second to what this all means for the broader scientific community. We are moving way past the illusion that simply throwing data into an AI will magically spit out perfect scientific discoveries. The reality is much more complex, and honestly, much more collaborative. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate takeaway. We have to redefine AI in science. It is not just about generating model outputs, it is about managing governed research trajectories. Brain researcher acts as the ultimate infrastructure here. It enforces the formalizable conditions of science, ensuring that the math and the code are correct. But crucially, it preserves human scientific judgment. The AI doesn't write the final paper, and it doesn't interpret the human meaning of the results. It keeps the questions, the decisions, and the evidence perfectly connected, leaving the highest level interpretation right where it belongs, with the human scientist. Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder as we look toward the horizon of discovery. Will the next great scientific breakthrough be fully automated or perfectly constrained? If you learned something new today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Open Life Science, OLSA, for more simple and insightful science explainers. See you in the next one.